welcome to the second episode of The Corporate, The Character, and we've left the ... because we'd like our guests to introduce ourselves. We've got Mitch Clayton, the CEO and co-founder of Flowd. Do you want to give a little bit of a background about yourself, Mitch?
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Good to see the journey of yourself, first of all, as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mitch Clayton, 28, CEO, co-founder of Flowd. We are a B2B outbound sales prospecting organisation. We've grown quite rapidly over the past few years. I've bootstrapped the business from 0 to 50 people in 4 years. It's had its challenges.
Of course.
along the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, happy to dive into some stuff today.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's where I kind of want to open up the first question is, and you've had an incredible rise. I've seen it personally. Obviously, we met from where we used to live in Deansgate Square. And I've
Great
seen...
for networking, by the way.
It is very good for networking. So anyone looking for a property, Deansgate Square, just a shout out to Renica there. But I've seen the rise of just following you on LinkedIn personally and how hard you've worked. So my first question is, where did the idea of Flowd come from, and where have your beginnings started?
Yeah, so it's crazy looking back now at where it all started. But so I'm 28 now.
Yes.
I started my entrepreneurial kind of official journey at maybe like 21.
Yeah.
Before that, I've always been that kid at school selling stuff. I've always been hustling. My mum and my grandma used to work on like market stalls. So on the weekends,
the original salesman.
Original, yeah. My nana, she's a boss. Honestly,
yeah.
She makes her own jewelry, sells it on the weekend, pockets like 200, 300 quid cash, and then I used to help her and stuff. So I was always in that mindset of sell stuff, make money. You know, not waiting on anyone to do stuff for us. So that's been like installed in me for a very young time. But the original ideation with Flowd was, so I've worked in numerous kind of corporate backgrounds, leading up to to get in here. Worked in lots of different sales functions, and I just came to the realization that there's so many poorly set up sales functions that don't utilize automations, don't utilize technology, and are just doing sales backwards.
So, i.e., where you're saying sales, do you mean the traditional ways of sales, telesales, hounding people, just general cold call and cold leads?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, like Flowd is very heavy users of technology and automations, and we've developed smart techniques of helping our clients get in front of the right people in more efficient ways. Gone are the days of people, making hundreds of cold calls in a day. It just doesn't work anymore. It's
also a draining experience. I worked in a call center when I was 17.
Yeah, so did I. My first job was in a call center. So I've got the learnings.
Yeah, but it teaches you a lot. Yeah. And I feel like I said in my last podcast as well that successes are great. Everyone wants success, but failures, you learn so much from them. And I wouldn't say getting a job's a failure, but working in a call centre, wearing on hats, that's not a failure. Or if you're still in that telesales mindset, that's not a failure. But what it does teach you for moving forward, if you want to progress your career, is probably how not to do it, or an archaic way of sales.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? If you're going to work in a call centre, you've got to leave your ego at the door.
And the mental draining.
Yeah.
It is. And then also what I want to ask you is, obviously we've left the ... here. What would you describe, if someone came to you and said, Mitch, who are you and what would you describe yourself as? What would it be?
I would say a founder. So I love building stuff. I'm great at taking something from zero to something.
Yeah.
That is kind of like, I thrive in the madness a little bit.
The pressure cooker.
Yeah, but sometimes, one thing I've definitely learned about myself, because now our business is starting to become a little bit more corporate.
Yeah.
We've got HR functions.
Yeah,
we've got like 40 to 50 people in the business. We have to do things in the right way. We've got people to take care of, etc. But I still love the scrappiness about the early days.
Do you think that comes from your humble beginnings, where you said your mum and your grandma are on a market store? Do you feel like that's where it comes? It's rooted in you that you want that, like almost.
Yeah, I think so. And I think because we bootstrapped the business from nothing, like in the early days, you're hustling every day, every minute of every day, 7 days a week for the first like 2 or 3 years. You're just hustling to get by, and I like that.
So you thrived under that pressure of potentially that tomorrow, because that's what it is, isn't it? That tomorrow, when you start a business, tomorrow could be your last day.
Yeah.
And even though what I've learned as well from, again, I'm the same age as you, 28, and how old's Flowd now?
We are 4 in January.
4 in January.
So we're actually in still kind of, so maybe like 3 years, 10 months.
Wow. That's a rapid growth.
Which is, it's insane when you actually think. I actually didn't realize we was that, because I didn't realize we were that young. I thought it was like, year 5 now. And it's like, no.
Those years fly by. They fly by. They really do. And obviously I wanted to touch on as well that it's not just you in the business. You're not just the sole founder. You're a co-founder, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that's your partner, Ashley, isn't it?
Yeah. So me and Ash actually met at the call center, which is quite crazy.
Did you really?
So we met in the call center.
Wow.
And we are, Ash manages the marketing side of our business. So if you ever see us online, you see us pop in, that's Ash.
I see Ash on my LinkedIn constantly.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Like, so many people recognize her for the content that she posts and stuff like that. And she does a great job at it. It's very authentic and stuff. And, Ash has always played more of the role on the marketing side. But when we first met, which was like maybe 7 or 8 years ago now, we were 2 kids working in a call center with just a big dream. And talking about like choosing co-founders, like there's topics of, who do I choose as my co-founder, etc. The biggest thing that I can ever say what to look for in your co-founder is trust. And even though people might say, it's risky working with your partner, it's risky working with your family, one thing that you do know is no matter what, you can trust them. And that's what has paid our dues up to this point.
Well, that's where we're very similar, that I start co-founding the business with my dad. And you almost develop that yin and yang. But I also know that in those early days where even my dad at the age of 55 was working a 16-hour day with me. And I always knew, you always know that if something goes to shit, to put it point blank, that they will be there to pick up those pieces. If you start to fail, they will be. So I think it's important to understand exactly how it all came about. And I believe that Flowd wasn't the first business yourself and Ashley had, was it?
Yeah. So prior to Flowd, we're originally from Preston, which is about an hour outside of Manchester. That's where we worked in a call center. Maybe like after a year of being together, we was like, Preston's too quiet for us. What next? Manchester, let's go there. Let's go get jobs in Manchester.
Chase the bright lights. But like we was like 21, 22 at this point. And we was like, right, let's get to Manchester. We had a couple of jobs there, maybe after a year or two of work, of like 2 or 3 years, etc. And what were those jobs?
Very corporate, to be honest. And that was one of the main reasons why we wanted to start up for ourselves, because working in businesses with poor cultures, it really drains you. It's like, is this what life's about? Coming to work, spending time with people that, I'm not quite aligned with. Yeah. Putting that front on, which just isn't me. And one of the things which we've done really well at Flowd is we bring together like-minded people. So when you're sitting next to your colleague, that person has been brought in because they might have a similar way, not exactly all the same, but we try and make it a fun place to be where people want to spend time together. And people that might not fit that, they might not work out here, but like that's always been very important to me, because I just think there's nothing worse than going into work with that front on, the mask on, going home, taking it off. It's soul degrading. It is soul degrading, and that's where, bringing it back to consensus, we've got this attitude where I implemented it from a young age when we started hiring, that I'm going to spend more time probably with these people at work than I will actually at home. If I think about it, I get home at 7:30 every night, 7:30, and then I have 2 hours, and then I go to sleep, and then my day starts again. So I want people to feel like they're coming to work, not just for a reason and to earn money, but to actually be part of a family. And I do see that on you and Ashley's LinkedIn very often, that you're going out a lot with the team. It's not just you and Ashley representing the business. You do push people forward as well and give them their own identity. And I do like that. But I believe, did you start a jewelry business? Yeah. So going back to your original question. So Flowd is actually our 3rd business together. So, and again, that's just testament. We try stuff, see what works, etc. That's the grafting. Because when you said you're from Preston's a working class town, isn't it? Yeah, very. Again, is that giving you humble beginnings where it's instilled from you from a young age? Like you said, no one's going to give it to you. Yeah. So you've set up 3 businesses and you've had successes, you've had failures. Yeah. How
on the third time as obviously Flowd.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that?
So I think initially, so we was very much so after working jobs, etc. I started becoming like really just obsessed with the online marketing space.
Yeah.
So marketing, so I've always been in like the sales and marketing space, but I really enjoyed the online marketing side of things.
Yeah.
And I was just research, and I didn't go to uni. I got kicked out of school at 15, so everything I know is self-taught. And this is where YouTube can be your best friend. Like every night after me working, I'm on YouTube all night. I'm buying courses. I'm just trying to upskill myself.
Yeah.
But the key thing that I'm wanting to do it for myself. No one's telling me, right, you've got to go to that uni lecture today. I'm like working overtime here because I want to, because I need to for myself. And then, like I said, I stumbled across the e-commerce world. I found that really interesting.
Yeah.
Because my original background was, working with my nana and stuff, selling physical products.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? So I can sell products online. I don't even need to don't need a retail store or whatever, etc. So tried a few different things.
Yeah.
And then we stumbled across an idea of jewelry, easy to ship, good margins. It's a daily necessity for most people. And that jewelry business, I would say it's successful. We did about 300K in year one. From nothing, just from two kids not really knowing what they're doing, and it actually got acquired for a 6-figure sum.
Wow!
After year one,
I would say that was a success.
Yeah, I would say it's a success, and yeah, like I think because the numbers that we're doing now are just obviously much bigger.
Yeah.
But back then, that was like what it gave me more. It was more like the confidence to be like you can start something.
Yeah.
And someone's just bought what you started from nothing. So keep going in a way.
Yeah, 100%. And like what you said there is you got kicked out of school. I got kicked out of 2 schools.
Yeah.
Just because I've got ADHD and I can't concentrate and I just wasn't suited to that background, and I didn't go to uni either. And it teaches you mental strength when you start from the bottom and you don't have anything, and it's bringing you up to this point. And you can have lows. The thing is, people look at the outside world and probably look at what we're doing now and think, all right, okay, you're on a podcast, you're obviously successful, but that's not always the case.
Yeah.
But just to touch back on Flowd, everyone's tried some sort of lead gen, marketing, but what is it that makes you different and why you're having such great success and the rapid growth has continued?
Yeah, well, like anything, within like the sales and marketing world, things change over time. What might have worked last year definitely won't work this year. So it all ultimately comes down to the people in the business, and it's like anything. If you've got 2 businesses which are similar, but one business is made up of absolute A players, people dedicated to the cause, people working overtime to make it a success, versus another business that's just got people ticking along, you're going to have much different performance on both sides of the thing.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the business's success is the people that drive it forward on a daily basis, me included, making sure we're on it with things, making sure that we're learning, making sure that we're ahead of what's coming out, etc. So yeah, it's theoretically down to the people.
Yeah. And for people that don't understand your strategy behind it, I've tried lead gen before with lead gen companies, and it's like you're on a database, you've got to scroll through it. When you came and spoke to me about it, what is it that you actually do? How is it that you do the sales side and get the leads into people?
So theoretically, what Flowd is, we are a matchmaker for B2B companies who were looking to spread their wings with their sales function.
You're like Tinder for business.
You're like Tinder for businesses. But it doesn't stop there. So let's say so you guys do like office fit outs, and we actually have a few clients that do exactly that, and we've helped them secure some pretty big contracts from it. So client will come to us and say, "Hey Flowd, we're looking to work with more businesses. Can you help us?" We say yes. We build a strategy for them which is going to do that. We have a Flowd database of companies, of people, which we can segment based on the client's needs and wants. When those leads come into the business, this is where it starts getting interesting. And this is where we actually support clients on increasing conversions in the business.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest problems in businesses, B2B businesses, is having a predictable sales function. I speak to so many companies daily where it's like, oh yeah, we survive off inbounds, we survive off referrals and stuff. But imagine having a consistent flow of meetings every day coming in, and you're also working with experts to help you close them better. And this is where the evolvement of the business is really like coming now. Like we're becoming so much stickier to our client sales functions, and we're becoming like a very, very integral partner. And it's really rewarding when a client comes to us and be like, Flowd, we've just closed a 100K deal from one of your leads. Like that is honestly, it's the best feeling in the world, because your success is shared with the client.
I get the feeling as well that you're not, I know you said sales, but you don't seem to me, like you said before, an ego. You haven't got an ego. And what you've just said there is that your passion is your client wins.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's a lot of people out there in your marketplace where it's just about get the fee, get the client, string them along? If we chuck them a lead, that's good enough.
I can't speak for anyone else. I can only speak for ourselves and our integrity.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I think with any walk of life, any business, there's always going to be someone which, is after a quick buck.
Yeah.
But that's not us. We invest so much time and money into the back end of what we do, and the thing that always comes to the front is the client experience. That's the thing. Because if you take care of that, everything else takes care of itself. If you focus on the client and getting them what they need, the business's numbers take care of themselves.
Yeah. So you almost want to be the internal. You're almost like you want to fit as an internal position within your client's business. So you want to be part of that business. You don't want to be, that they're just the external lead gen company.
Because as well, like sales functions, like again, we're in a world now where technology is changing the way that sales and a new business is created. And a sales director or a managing director might not have the resource to focus on that like we do.
Yeah.
We've got 40 people in the business that are dedicated to just learning the most about this space, doing stuff what people aren't doing, just thinking of new ideas. It's very difficult to go and replicate that internally unless you've got massive budgets and, big funding.
Yeah. And you're growing. So how are you going? And I can tell the passion you've got. And obviously that goes through the rest of the business. Yeah. As you grow, like you said, you've got 40, 50 staff. When you reach 100, how are you going to maintain that level of consistency?
Yeah, it's interesting. And look, ultimately, and this is how I've treated every year, I don't look at A to Z, I look at A to B.
Yeah.
So I don't look at what's it going to be like at 100. I'm like, well, we're growing. What does next year look like? Because so much stuff can change. And I think that's one of my biggest strengths is just getting from A to B. It's not about going from 3 million to 10 million overnight. Yeah. It's about going from 3 to 5.
Yeah. Because I know loads of people who are really good at what they do, but then they start talking to me about, I want to pick my yacht so I can have it in 10 years. Like you said, my dad's always told me, it goes back to the point we made before about dealing with your partner or dealing with a family member. My dad's always said to me, just think about 2 months' time. You don't need to think about 5 years' time, because you may not even be here in 5 years' time. So, yeah, it's finding consistency and balance is difficult. So, yeah, it's a challenge. It's a definite challenge, but the growth is impressive. It's really impressive.
Thank you.
And I'm just looking on my sheet here because I've got terrible memory, by the way, Mitch. You found clients like FC Barcelona, Chanel, IKEA, and also one of your other pods, you talked about how some of your clients you found a lead, and that lead have actually come to you for business.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Well, one of our largest clients is one of the biggest food delivery companies in the UK, and we helped one of our clients sign them up from our techniques and strategies, and our client now was that impressed with how our client did it. They was like, "Do you do this yourself, or did you do it? Do you use someone?" And thankfully, our client referred us, and we're like, "Yeah, no, we use these guys, talk to them, etc." And yeah, we got an inbound lead through the door one day, which was like, that's nice.
That is nice. You've actually had the lead come into you.
It was I recognise that guy's name from somewhere. Well, but no, it's a funny old world. You got to put yourself in the right positions.
Yeah, of course you do. And then we were talking before, weren't we, about how you've just moved house and how you were in the right place at the right time. And one of the things that me and George find, who unfortunately can't be here today, the corporate, one of the things that he's really passionate about is relationships and building on that. Yeah, you may find leads through lead gen and through technology, but have personal leads and personal relationships helped you grow your business?
100%. There's been, so from the get-go, the two main channels which we've honed down on to get the business here has been personal branding via organic social content, and our outbound channel. So the channel which we run for our clients, we do that for ourselves, and that's theoretically what's powered the business, especially in the early days, because like we've got we will always have, the great thing about Flowd is we will always have lots of organizations interested in what we do because we've built systems and we are always on the front foot with work. And like I said, that's those two channels are what I've got us here today. Now that the business is growing, we've got a bigger account management team. We need more diverse channels, etc. But theoretically, two core channels that has got us here today: personal branding and outbound.
Yeah. Well, right now we're navigating a bit of a weird world in business where LinkedIn's becoming really popular in terms of how you actually grow your business. It used to, I mean, my industry is archaic. It's 50 years behind everyone else. And I noticed there was a small gap within my market. I don't have a marketing budget. Like, we're turning over good money, but I don't have a marketing budget like the other big players in my industry do, sorry. So I had to do something a bit different. So I took to LinkedIn. Like I said before, Ashley's LinkedIn is really impressive. You get a lot of engagement as well. How important do you think that is for businesses to grow in 2024? And
100%. And like, this was a thing that we spot. So we've been posting very consistently for like 4 years now. So
it's a long time.
A long time. So again, it's like you see the numbers now, but they weren't the numbers. And again, it's that thing of, it's consistency. Consistency is everything.
Because I first saw Ashley's post and I was like, I recognise that person. Then she posted a picture of her on the way to work in the lift in our building. I was like, okay, that's where I recognise her from.
Yeah, and like, look, it was timing. Timing is another thing with social channels as well. So 4 years ago, LinkedIn was a lot less busier than what it is now. So you got a lot better reach than what you did. But again, like, we spotted a gap in the market. So Ash has always been big on on Instagram. So she's always been great at creating content. But she was like, Instagram just doesn't get the reach anymore. It's just not doing, what it used to do.
Do you think that's because from a B2, we like both of us probably know, we know a lot of people who do B2C and they can't get their head around how B2B get leads. They're very much Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah.
How do you think that, how do you think that's why that's so different? B2B, like you said, then can't quite use Instagram to its strengths. Why is that?
I just think, well, it's like anything with social platforms. They have times where the organic reach is good, and then in time, because the platform gets filled up with more users, the space on the platform becomes smaller. And like Instagram now, it's very difficult to create an organic strategy on Instagram. On LinkedIn now, I think it's still a good time for LinkedIn to create an organic strategy. And you've come onto the scene not too long ago and you're starting to do pretty well from it. But maybe in like 3 years that might be a little bit different. And then there might be another channel which is where the attention is cheaper. And it's all about cheap attention.
Yeah.
That and that the way to look at that is, how can I get my message content out for the cheapest price possible and get the biggest bang for my buck?
Yeah, because everything's about keeping things slim, isn't it? And within a business, your sales and your growth speak for itself. So, who taught all your staff to be killer salesmen and saleswomen?
So we have now a team of 7 in our account. So we have an account management model. We have a head of sales. So our head of sales was our first ever salesperson in the business.
Wow.
So 2 years ago, we hired our first salesperson. At that point, this was he's called Joe. Me and Joe working very closely together on a daily basis. Very scrappy at this stage still, not really any 2 major processes in place.
Bit of call centre sales coming in there.
Potentially, but we always had like an influx of leads. So because like social was going really well at that point, our outbound channel was doing big numbers. So me and Joe was just on calls all day, but like not doing cold calls, like on scheduled meetings of people wanting to work with us and stuff. But in time, that's just grown and grown and grown. And, now we're a team of like 6, 7. Communication becomes a lot more important for me now. So I spend a lot of my time now building presentations to present to people, like Joe, to my management team, so they can deliver messages to their account management team, for, you know, our operations team. So my job now is very much more about quality of communication. And this is the thing, when a business grows, my role as founder changes like a lot along the way. I can't do stuff which I used to do because I'm stepping on toes of other people who I've hired. And
I feel like that's probably one of the reasons why you've grown so quickly, because people are really bad at. I've been in businesses where the founder or the MD still wants to know what the admin person's doing, still wants to know what they're doing. So how do you detach yourself away from that?
Look, don't get me wrong, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but like
this is your baby, isn't it?
It is, and it always will be. But thankfully, I've got a good leadership team with me. So alongside Ash is another important person called Mark, who is our COO.
Yeah.
So Mark joined the business at year one. Wow. So this actually really helped the dynamic between me and Ash running the business, because we had like a bit of a mediator in the middle. So
you need that. Yeah, that's where George is coming between me and my dad.
Yeah.
He's coming as that mediator and going, okay, I understand your point,
Yeah, and like, look, we never like crazily argued or anything, but it's just like when we're in a board meeting, having an external person there just helps shift the dynamic away from actually like, you know, just you guys, which are, you know, together all the time in a way. So like Mark came in year one. Mark's got like great finance background. I met him at Deansgate Square as well.
Did you? Oh, there you go. There's a Deansgate Square again.
So yeah, it's what I mean. Again, you've got to put yourselves in the right places to find people. And especially like in the early days of Flowd, I really tried and just networked as much as I possibly can do. Just being open, just like saying hello to people. Say hello to a stranger.
Yeah.
It's a tiny thing.
It is.
But not enough people do it.
No, they don't. Network, and do you know what? Networking is difficult. And I don't really do that much networking, to probably a detriment to myself. I go around it a little bit of a different way. But I'm guessing when you say networking, you weren't going to like the coffee mornings, because I think that's dead.
I completely agree. And when I say networking, I mean go to a bar where, you know, cool people might be. Go to a gym where people might be. Like, I've always been big on authenticity. Yeah. And I think sometimes going to forced networking events where people, it's just a bit of a force. It doesn't feel natural to me. But like I said, I've always just tried to go to places where I think people might be.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the things, especially with UK culture, people are too bothered about looking cool. Yeah. Whereas like they're like, oh, I'm not going to smile at that person because I'm making the first move.
Yeah.
But like it's not the right attitude, I don't think.
You know, you're right. And do you know what? In the car on the way here, and I spoke about it in my last pod as well, and I said I once got told by someone when I went to a meeting about looking at a job for them that, why are you dressed in a t-shirt and a pair of jeans and trainers? Like, I'm not going to use you and spend my money with you because I wasn't wearing a suit. And I just feel like we're sat here, and I see you wear a lot of represent as well. That's just not a representation of how to move along now, is it?
Yeah.
And that is the stigma. It's like, especially in my industry as well, is that you get a lot of older people who try and either bash you or don't want to talk about to you because you look a bit different or you're young. But that's you've blown that out of the water, where you're 28, you've grown a business to 40, 50 people, and it is almost a fuck you to people.
100%, especially in the early days. So like when our numbers were a bit smaller than what they are now, we would work with, you know, we'd get a client up to like pitch stage right at the end. Someone would be like, the founder would be really bought in. They'd bring the marketing director who might be, you know, older than me, maybe like, you know, might have 20 years on us or whatever. And they'll just be like, well, what do you know about marketing? You know, how can you know more than us about marketing or whatever it might be? But you just clock it like subconsciously, and I always use that as a bit of a driver to be like, I'm just going to let my numbers do the talking. And in anything in life, just let the numbers do the talking. Yeah. And the numbers that we do now, we know what we're doing.
Just let the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, and that's a good mentality for people to be like. Just let the with business. Yeah, ultimately, your numbers do the talking.
People shout. I just like, in this young TikTok culture and Instagram culture, people just love to show wealth and shout how well they're doing. In actual fact, no one cares. The actual people who are doing really well are the ones who don't shout. Yeah. And then I want to also talk to you about that. Life hasn't always been success and positive, has it, for you? Yeah. Do you want to obviously, I know from watching and following your journey and also speaking to you when we've met up, just give the viewers and the listeners what actually was a failure in your life?
Yeah, so kind of going slightly backwards, but like, so I was actually a professional footballer. That's where the journey actually started many lifetimes ago. I feel like I've lived about 3 lives since then.
Really?
But yeah, so I was a professional footballer right up until 19.
Who did you play for?
So I played for Blackpool, and then Bolton before that. So Northwest clubs, but I'd been in the academy system from like 8.
Wow.
So like from like 8 to 19, which is what, like 11 years, my life was just football.
Yeah, because I've got friends who, a friend of mine, his son's been in academy since 5, he's now 16. And that's not just your life, that's your parents' life as well.
Parents' life. So that's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, every week consistently. Your parents taking you to training, taking you to games. Yeah. They sacrifice their weekends for you, which I'm so grateful for. And it's one of those things really, which is it's hard to sometimes like talk about in times because it feels like such a long time ago, but it's definitely what's built me. Now.
Yeah, it's had it's something that you have to talk about because it's an impact in your life, isn't it? It's a massive turning point. So what actually happened?
Yeah. So like I said, so again, played in the academy system, was doing amazing. Got to 19, and in football there's a lot of sliding door moments.
Yeah.
Like if we look at the Marcus Rashford that we see today, Marcus Rashford got thrown in one game because there was no other strikers.
He scored in his debut, didn't he?
Scored in his debut. No other strikers available. That's a sliding door moment. Without that moment, he might not be the Marcus Rashford that he is now.
Were you close to having
very,
a sliding
very,
door
very, very, very close? But it just wasn't meant to be. I ended up I had a good relationship with the manager at the time. He gets sacked. New manager comes in. It's at contract season. You're not in my plans. Gone. And because I just didn't really recover from that. And this is the thing. What that taught me at the time was, with footballers that make it, they get so many pushbacks, and the ones that actually make it are the people that come back and be like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. But I don't know what it was with me. I think because I was in the academy system from so young, I felt like I had a career by 19 in a way, because I've been doing it for like 11 years. And I think I was just a little bit drained with it all. Like I didn't have a normal childhood where I could go to parties with my friends, like even just,
Do these clubs almost own?
Pretty much, yeah. It definitely got to the point where I was like, the fun had been sucked out of it a little bit. So do you know when you have to get back and go again? I was like, I don't really know.
So it's almost, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about the past, but just to interrupt you there is when you've said that the fun got sucked out of it, that's a reason why you don't never want that to happen at your business, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And I think one of the biggest advice I could give to any parent who's got kids young in football, just don't do it so early, because some of the best players that you see now, they started at 13, 14.
You wish you just had a bit of fun with your friends on Saturday.
I think so, yeah. And I think because when I was younger, I was so focused on practicing. So when I was not training, I've got a ball, I'm kicking a ball against the wall all night, all day. So do you know what I mean? And I think that's what made me a bit of a lone wolf, because when I was like that, that's what I have with me now. I've always had a bit of a lone wolf mentality. So when I was in school or whatever, I was always a bit different from everyone. I didn't have a huge group of mates. Yeah. Going throughout my life, I've never had a massive group of friends.
Yeah,
it's always been, well, it's me against everyone anyway.
Yeah. So you said you can't quite put a finger on why it happened. Is it literally that nothing? You didn't do anything wrong. You trained perfectly. It was just one day you were called in and that was it. Your career's over.
Yeah, theoretically. There was at one point where I was the captain of the reserves. I was flying, and I was like, I'm destined here. I'm done.
Your team was in the Premier League, weren't they?
Yeah, there was in the Prem at the time. So, and I think I had and one of the reasons why I feel like I've just got no ego now, because at that point when I'm playing for a Premier League club, I had an ego, and I'm 19. So
Did you go out?
Yeah, not like crazy, but I was just I thought I was above people. Now, what actually happened from then is when I got released, I struggled to find a club. And I come from a very working class family, and at that time, if you're not working, we're not going to pay for you. So I'm 19 now, no job, trying my hardest to get back into football, but, I'm living at my parents' house, and their mindset was, well, you need to earn money.
So where did you go from there?
So I actually started working in a call center, and this is, where I'm
no
at,
job center,
where I'm at Ash, and I had like a bit of a rock bottom time at this point. Because
I can imagine that was really that twist from going.
Yeah,
because you think you're someone. That's a humbling experience.
Oh, so humbling. And that was like great to get at an early age. And it built a lot of character in me. So if we're going 19, you're on the cusp of playing in the Premier League to 2 months later, you're working in a call centre.
Were you soft before that? Or
I would say so, because in football you do get wrapped up in cotton wool a little bit. People are doing stuff for you. You're not used to doing stuff for yourself. And when I was at the call centre, people would always say, "Oh, where did you work before here?" I was like, "I used to play for a Premier League club." And like having that conversation every other day, do you know, with like, because in call centres there's a lot of new starters coming in there, so like you're explaining that like every week, played in Premier League.
And then everyone's shouting, Mitch used to play in the Premier League.
And then they're like, well, "What are you doing here?" That was it. "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, just I need to earn some money. Well, I need to get by."
Yeah. You're no longer Mitch who used to play in the Premier League. You're now Mitch, the founder.
Exactly. And but that those losses of what drove you on, and I think one of the your goals change over time, and your motivation changes over time. When you have kids, your motivation changes because you're now thinking about your kids.
Yeah.
At the start, one of my biggest motivations was, I've got friends playing in the Premier League. I'm working in a call centre. I need to get up to their level, but just doing something different. So I'm going to work on myself, do whatever I need to do, because in my mind, I'm up there.
Yeah.
I have in my mind, I'm going to be a Premier League football player.
Yeah, so it wasn't all failure, was it? That career's taught you that you have to keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
And that's how, do you feel like that's helped you?
100%.
Do you think it helps you on a daily basis or a weekly basis?
Because when I went on that mission of just like self-teaching myself, that's like I'm seeing my friends playing on the TV every week.
Do you think about it? Do you think about what could have been?
I think I'm actually very thankful for the process, to be honest, because I actually think a football career isn't all what it seems. You might see some players on the Premier League earning big money and think, wow, that's amazing. But 99% of footballers they might be League One, League Two, non-league, etc. It's not all glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
And also with the footballer's routine, it's not, there's not a lot of time for your own time. You're on a schedule. You have to be here on a certain day. And actually I've learned that doesn't suit me a lot. Like I like traveling. I like exploring the world. I like experiencing new cultures, which is like big for me, because when you go to another country and, see how locals live their life, it's the best form of education, because you look back at your own kind of situation in the UK, in Manchester, and be like, wow, that's so different to us. I can learn so much here.
Every time I go abroad, everyone's always so much happier.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you find that as well. And I think that's just the rat race of what the business, what the UK is like and what UK business is like.
Yeah.
And I was actually doing some reading before we came on a couple of days ago. And I think if I get my figures right, if you put 100 people in a room of potential footballers, only 2 will make it. Like you said, that's whether that's semi-pro or that's actually just making it to a point where you're getting paid. And then I thought there must be a correlation between business and that and football and what you've experienced. And then I was reading, if you put 1,000 startups, only 100 of them will make it. So that's a 98% ratio of footballers and a 90% of startups. What do you think that people are doing wrong and why those stats stack up against each other?
Consistency. I think if you start in a business at the start, I think everyone's willing to work hard. Like it becomes like hard work is a given. You have to work hard regardless. But then it's what's the smart work that you're doing. Like for instance, big thing for us is personal branding. That wasn't a thing of right, we're gonna work 10 hours a day doing personal branding, but that was a conscious decision that we made at the start, and then we was consistent with it. I think too many people start something, try something new, and they're just flicking between different things all of the time. I also think self-education is really important. So like 10 years ago, maybe not 10 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, when I was like getting into the entrepreneurship game, the content out there was nowhere near as what it is good now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you actually had to DM people and be like, hey, can I get 10 minutes of your time to give me a bit of advice?
Yeah.
Now, do you know how many podcasts are out
so
there
many
now?
Yeah, do you know what, another stat you throw in, I think the guys here at Audio Always were telling us as well, 32 podcasts are started every day, and something like only 12% make it.
Well, the information out there is just massive. So if you're someone that is like, I want to learn about marketing, all of the information is there. It's all about what you do with it. And it's all about you going out, getting that information, studying it, learning it, and putting pen to paper and making it a reality.
Yeah, and my idea of setting up the podcast wasn't to do another podcast, because people probably look and think, oh, another bloody podcast. It was to bring people on who had a story, who may not had the easiest road and have made it into a success, because I want to inspire others and show others that you don't have to just stay in this corporate world. Don't let someone like in football, don't let someone put you in a box or wrap you in cotton wool and say, this is the best you're ever going to get. Because it's not the truth, is it? And that's another thing, that you've scaled so quickly and grown in your success. What do you think people, if someone starting their business and they see a little bit of growth like you have, how do they manage that, and how have you managed it? So, because everyone can grow and then suddenly just go bang.
Yeah, I think you've got to take risks. So like throughout our journey, I've always took calculated risks. That's just my kind of like mindset. You know, I've always been, let's try it. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen, right? And the fear of the unknown. So if you're always looking forwards versus looking backwards, I think you're always going to be okay, because you're always on the front foot of attack. Whereas when you're like, because again, people in business, they start being like, oh, you know, I've got overheads mounting up, I've got this, that, and the other. Well, that's fine, but look forward about revenue growing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I meet a lot of founders, and you can see the defensive ones who are looking backwards, trying to cut costs, trying to shave things. Yeah. Whereas the actual reality is, it's like, no, go and earn more money.
Yeah. Like, well, that's why I started this. This is a risk. It's cost me a lot of money. It is a risk, and it may not work. It may not, but it may also drive some business. But it's not always about that. But there's so many successes and failures where people have grown and then just stopped or just thought. And what's the difference? Is Flowd a lifestyle business, or is it a passion, or is it something you want to take and then sell? What is the end goal?
It's definitely not. It's never been a lifestyle business. Even from like day one when we started, it was always, this is like serious. Like, you know, we want to be the best player in our space. I think, I'm not sure what the end goal is, but we just want to be the best in our space.
That's just exciting though, isn't it? That's like doors open. Like, I want people to know that you've just opened an office up in New York. Yeah. Like that's cool. Like that. Yeah. What a risk.
Yeah. Yeah. What a risk. And like I said, the key thing for us is, like I said, we just want to be the best in our space. And that's the mantra that we're leading from. And like I said, everything else takes care of itself. If you're focused on your craft, you know, which is, you know, we want to be the best company that does what we do. Yeah. Everything else takes care of itself. So like, you know, investment might come in time. Okay, it can be on our best terms because, you know, we're the best at what we do, etc. Clients come to you, clients stay with you, and it all comes down from, you know, just focusing on your craft.
What's the plans in New York?
So I'm actually moving over there not next week, the week after, which is exciting. So it's again that's a change for me. You know, I've just moved into a new house, which I've been waiting to move into for the past 2 years.
How's yeah, we all know about houses, but how's that going to work with you and Ashley?
I think it's great, because again, it's growth for and for me personally, this is like me going out of my comfort zone, moving to a new country, moving to a new city. But New York is like amazing. Like, you know, it's hard not to get inspired. It's hard not to, you know, and I think you've got to get up and go again.
What's the worst that can happen?
I don't think a huge amount, to be honest. You know, like I look at things more positively than negatively, and it's what it's most exciting about for me is, so the UK business is now, you know, we've got 40, 50 people, you know, maybe about 80 to 100 clients that we work with. It's an established business. Our US side of the business is a lot smaller currently, but it has so much potential to get up to the same levels than the UK business. So I'm like, well, this is like my new startup in a way.
So it starts again. You like that. It's your mantra, isn't it? Like you're building something again from zero.
Yeah, and that suits me the best. Like I think I'm like one of the best at getting something from zero to something. I might, being very transparent about myself, I might not be the guy that's the best fit to take a business from 100 to 500 staff.
I completely agree. Like I said, George can't be here today, but I've got the passion. Yeah. I know what I want to do. I know I can sell.
Yeah.
But he's better at driving the business internally and managing all those aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why we've collectively made a decision that I'm the best fit to go out there. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward to just life. And the key thing is just enjoy life.
From Preston to Manchester to New York.
Yeah.
What's next for Flowd?
So like I said, the open of our US office. Yeah. We've got a new managing director, which has just joined. Is that breaking news? It will be hopefully by the time this is out. Yeah. But it's a big thing for a founder, and it's finding the right person to run your business.
It's like you said before, it's letting those things go. It's letting those that you're the founder, you're the driving point, but there may be someone potentially better than managing the process.
And like I said, there's no ego whatsoever.
I know. I don't see any ego in you.
It's all about the best person for the job in a way, and whether that's me, whether that's someone else, etc. It is what it is. But I didn't think we'd be at a position this soon to be in a position to bring in an MD who's now taking it to the next step. At 3 years and 10 months, I didn't think we'd be there at that point. Not a lot of businesses get to that stage so quickly. But yeah, just like I said, just really excited about the future. Everyone in the business at the minute is just thriving with excitement, because when a business is just on the up like that, every month is a record-breaking month. The feel-good factor in the business is just like...
You're all pulling the same direction. That's what it's about. That's what business is about. And that's one of the reasons why we implemented an ethos at our place that no one's any different. We sit on you've been to my office, we sit on one central bench, all of us. That's going to have to change soon. But, because we're getting bigger like yourself, but that was like the no egos. The MD sits next to the admin staff. Yeah. The admin sits next to the project managers. And there's no ego. Everyone's pulling in the same direction. And there's so many companies out there, not to bash any other companies, I can only speak for myself, like you said, but who just... You see people and they're not happy to go to work. Why shouldn't you be happy to go to work? So that's New York MD, and there's no other foresight right now. That's enough for now.
No, I actually forgot. We're actually just about to move into our new Manchester HQ. So as of January. So we have just pretty much tripled our office size.
Wow.
I need to show you our new office, by the way. I think you'll appreciate the spec of it.
Where is it?
It's near St. Peter's Square, so it's bang in the city. It's bang in the centre. Great location.
What's the building called?
Calico. It's called.
Oh, I do know where Calico is.
Yeah.
Yes, I know who did that fit out as well. Yeah, it's very nice next to the Hyphen building. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Slap bang in the centre as well.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. We're going to be doing a little office tour for the current team there shortly, and. Yeah, it's just like I said, it's just a very exciting time. And I think I've always been a person where you've got to ride the waves, because it's not always going to be smooth sailing. And by the way, to get here, I know it sounds like, wow, it's been so easy, but honestly, it's not. There's been so much hard work that's gone in, and there's been so many difficult days, difficult moments. But I just think if you just always have a positive outlook on things, because even negatives can be positives. Yeah. But it's just all about the way that you process and handle things.
So... one of the questions as well is that you and Ashley, obviously I work with my dad, but I don't go home with my dad.
Yeah.
So what does nighttime look like? What does sitting on the sofa look like? Is it just you could talk about Flowd, or do you come away from that and actually you enjoy your time together and that's left at the front door? What is it?
So weekends are pretty much time where we try and don't talk about work. During the week, it's virtually impossible to, because you're working. We try and limit the time that we spend together on a day-to-day basis as much as possible for obvious reasons, to keep ourselves sane. But at night, it's difficult when you're having dinner or you're having a glass of wine or whatever. It's difficult to not talk about key things that are going on in the business, and that's just the real truth. On the weekend is where we're like, right, it's us time now. So and that's where we try and get balance. And one thing that we moved to a really tiny village to get that balance, and where we live now, no one knows us properly.
You're not I've never known you as a flashy person.
Yeah.
If I spoke to you in the street, I wouldn't know you had offices in New York. You had all this stuff. And that's a testament to yourself.
Yeah, that's why I love the village that I live in. No one knows me.
Yeah, that's it. No one knows you are.
No one knows me. No one knows us. You know, I've met people there. You know, they just be like, "Oh, that's Mitch. He just lives down the road."
Yeah.
And I love that, because, you know, when you don't like bragging and stuff like that. You know, you just speak to me for who I am as a person, not, you know, how much money I have or how much money I don't have.
Correct.
Anyway.
And just on the money side of things, every entrepreneur has a different way of defining what their success is. What defines Flowd as what do you see success for Flowd? Is it turnover, revenue, profit, growth? What is it that you see success?
Yeah. So obviously with business, the way that the ecosystem works is obviously revenue and profit.
Of course.
So yes, we have revenue or profit goals, which are at the forefront of what we do, like any business should.
Yeah, otherwise you're going to go bust. Yeah.
You're going to go bust. So, you know, we've always been very commercially minded as a business. You know, the business is theoretically being created by someone in sales, someone in marketing, and someone in finance. So we've always been very commercially driven. But I think going away from the numbers, we want to be the best at what we do. We want to have the best people in the space. We want to have the best culture. We just want to be the best at every area of the business that we can be. And if you do all of those things correctly, the numbers take care of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And have we had any hands up for going to New York? Is any staff?
One of our team members is coming. So one of our account directors is moving alongside myself.
Wow.
You know,
what a great story! Like what a great story for someone.
Yeah. No, I know, and like, you know, and I'm one thing that I get a lot of fulfillment out of is, you know, giving my team opportunities. Like, that is the one thing that I've always like enjoyed about running businesses, is giving people a career, giving people a wage, giving people opportunities, seeing people grow. Like, we've had people come in like at exec level, they're now managers, and there's nothing more fulfilling for me from supporting a young person, or not just a young person, but someone on their journey and making them become a better person. It's one of the most fulfilling things.
Yeah, and I think you probably could take that back to what you experienced, and you probably don't want that for someone else, where there's loads of people that get built up, not just in football, but in business, get built up to something, and then suddenly one day you're just not flavour of the month and you're gone.
Yeah.
But I feel like not just profit, but if you look at someone's balance sheet, you delve deeper, retention of staff's everything.
Yeah.
And when I look for dealing with companies, or when companies want to deal with me, I want them to look into that and see that no staff members ever left, or it's very, very slim.
Yeah.
How do you manage that internally?
So one of the things which we did very well from an early age is, so we adopted good HR systems. And this is another thing about making good decisions. So at year 2, we hired someone in HR, which for someone at year 2, you don't really need to do.
No, you don't.
But my ethos was, because we are such a we're a service-based business.
Yeah.
So our people are our product.
Yeah.
In a way. And I was like, well, if that's the case, well, we need really good HR systems to make sure that people get good training, people get good onboarding experiences, people, if they're not performing to the standards that they should, there needs to be some form of like performance improvement plan.
Not just you gone.
Anyway. So what we did from a very kind of early age, earlier than we should, because I remember I've got lots of friends who are entrepreneurs. They were like, why are you hiring someone in HR at year 2? Yeah. Like, focus on sales or focus on marketing. I was like, no, I know, but if the HR side of things, it's really important. Like, a staff member needs to feel that they have support in the organization, and they're not just like being spoke to in rude ways or whatever it is. And Morgan, who is now our operations manager, so she's actually been promoted quite a few months ago now. He's great. She has really helped us build systems for our people where they feel valued, trained, respected, and that's been a big thing for us.
Yeah. And then the main objective of this podcast was to shed light on people's successes, and also to give advice to young entrepreneurs of how you've got to where you are. And if a young entrepreneur came to you, Mitch, and said, I want to start a business, what advice would you give to them, and what advice would you tell them to do and not to do?
Well, my first question would be why?
Yeah, why?
Yeah. So like, why do you want to run a business? Because it's like, there's a lot of young kids these days. Like,
think it's easy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also it's like the new influencer. Being an entrepreneur is like the new form of being an Instagram influencer.
People don't know the stresses.
Yeah. Because they see Instagram accounts with founder of XXXXX. So like, it's so funny, by the way. I see if you're like a young founder, or not just a founder in general, and you're like the founder of 5 businesses.
Yeah.
That I could already tell that they're not all going to be successful.
Yeah, the new one is everyone's a CEO.
Yeah.
And I see it as well. Like you said, people who started a marketing business and they've got one staff, and they're like CEO of, well, and it's like that doesn't make you a CEO. You don't have a board.
We had an inbound lead the other day, and the job title was Group CEO,
right?
And the company had 1 staff member.
So they were the whole group. And if a young salesman came to you, what advice would you give them?
Be likable.
Leave the ego.
It's the number one thing for me with sales, and it doesn't matter if you're selling something for £1 or £1 million. The number one thing is be likable.
People buy from people.
Yeah,
and that's what it's about. And I've learned that in business as well. That people don't buy into your ego.
Yeah,
your bullshit. If you, like you said, if you're humble, you connect with people, you'll grow.
Yeah.
And then so basically at the end of the podcast, we like to do a little bit of a quick fire round. So I'm going to ask you a couple of quick fire questions, if that's okay with you. So, first job.
Call centre is my, call centre or professional footballer.
Right, okay.
Probably, one of them.
Working from home or office?
Office.
Good answer. Most famous person you've ever met?
I've met Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh yeah. You play. I guarantee there's probably no one else, because he's potentially the most famous person in the world. I'm sure of that. What's your biggest fear?
Not achieving the best that Mitch could be. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not in a competition with anyone else. I'm in a competition with myself, and I just want to maximize me. Whether that's here or here, I want to just be the best me that I can be.
Yeah.
And that's my fear. My fear that drives me is not doing that.
Yeah, they are. That's a strong answer. And then we've got some fun questions. This can be in any of your jobs. So, oddest client request.
It's probably something I can say and not say, but there was once a request where someone asked us, can you just generate leads with people with certain names?
Okay. Yeah.
that was like...
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I can see where you're going with that one. The funniest thing that's ever happened to you on a working day?
No, I think there was one time where it was on like a really professional like pitch, was pitching a client, but it was like via Zoom. And there was an American business, and do you know where you can get like face fillers? Yeah. On like this, like the COO like for the company didn't realize that he just tapped like a monkey face filter on. And
did anyone tell him?
And he had, and he couldn't get it off. And
really?
So we would.
Did you hold it together, or were you?
I tried my very hardest. So I was pitching it with 3 people, and there was one of my team and the COO and a monkey face on, and I was like, "So what's your thoughts on that?" And he was like, "Yeah, I really like it," with a monkey face, and it was that was probably the funniest moment. After the call, me and the team were in hysterics.
I bet you were. And then I'm pretty sure you may actually have one at some point in your life listening to you, Mitch. But what would your autobiography be called?
The Journey of Happiness.
Yeah, that's a good answer. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Steak.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's exactly the same as my answer. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
To be able to travel to any country at any time whenever I want, because I hate traveling places. Like I don't like have a fear of traveling or anything, but it's just so long.
Teleportation.
Like, that's it. Yeah, so like I just like to travel. Like, I want to go to New York now. I'm in New York.
I'm pretty sure, Mitch, at some point you're probably going to have a jet the way you're continuing.
Yeah,
but yeah,
travel because I travel a lot now. Yeah. So like I've caught a lot of flights this year, and it's just long. Going through security, it's long, and it just drains you a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You got an incredible story, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing Flowd grow, and yourself and Ashley. So I wish you all the best in New York.
Appreciate it.
And to your new MD. But Cheers. Thank you for coming on.
Nice.